In this video, I will be going over the Calgary Input tool. Now, in the last video I created, you will remember that I created this CYDB by reading this YXDB and turning it into a Calgary database. Now, the reason why we did that was so that we could use this Calgary Input. So I'll go ahead and drag my file to the canvas and disable this as a container. And now we can go through the options of this Calgary Input tool. Now, the reason why we're using this tool is because if we had a very large database and we didn't want to read everything, but we wanted to gain access to just a small cut of records, we could use the indices that we selected to do that. So up here we've got the path of the file, and here we have the three indices of score, state, and zip. Now, if you wanted to, you could switch to a manual editor, which would allow you to do this in XML. However, I've always done it using this nice GUI system. So the first thing I want to do is I will double-click score. I want to select a range of scores between 90 and 100. We have some options. We can select it from a list. We can select it from a range. We can select specific ones. We could even say it begins with a value. Let's say we wanted all the scores that begin with a 9. We could also say we want all of the null options. And with each of these options, we do have the value to take the inverse, to take the opposite of what we've selected in this dropdown. In this instance, I'll do from is in a range. And I will say I want between 90 and 100, and I want to include those actual values. Now, when we click OK and we hit Run, you'll notice what it says here is the Calgary found 1,493 matching records out of the 1,500. Now, if you had hundreds of millions of records with a YXDB or a CSV file, you would have to read all of the records first and then do a filter, whereas this one applies the filter immediately based on the index without having to read all the records. And that's the power of this tool. You'll notice after we do that, we have in our query score between 90 and 100. And if we wanted to, we could even further this. So let's say we want to filter by state. Now it's giving us this one. It's auto-detected that we might want to use this one in the list, but we still do have all of the options available. In this instance, I just want the Massachusetts records. When we click OK, now we have two options within this AND statement. And when we hit Run, we have further narrowed down our records to 1407. Now let's say it's still returning a large amount of records, but you want to test it and you want to test your query. You can actually select this output count only. When you hit Run, this will simply tell you how many records are you querying. You have the ability to skip some records. You also have the ability to do a maximum amount of records. Let's say I only wanted to see the first 100 records. This will allow you to do that. Now, how this is different from an input tool is you don't want to just delete out this number. This will error. For you to read all records, you'll just have to type in a 0. Now, one button that we have not gone over is this insert button. You aren't just limited to AND logic. You could use not AND, or not or even all. While I've only used AND, this option does exist. So, for example, if we wanted to take this AND, we can edit it and turn it into OR logic. And then when we hit Run, we can now see that we are returning 1,500 results. Why is that? Well, all 1,500 results are either in Massachusetts or are between a score of 90 to 100. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.